What if your best years are still ahead? Just imagine. This is essentially what the great psychologist Carl Jung claimed. He believed that the most important, the most authentic stage of life begins not in the turbulence of youth, but much, much later. Let's figure out exactly what he meant by that. Life truly begins at 40. Admittedly, it sounds rather provocative, but it's not just a catchy phrase. No, it's the key to understanding the entire Jungian psychology of development. What is so special about this milestone? Why 40? Well, Jung proposed a very beautiful metaphor. He saw life as a sea voyage. For the entire first half, that is, until age 40, we are diligently building our boat. What does that mean? Well, we get an education, start a family, climb the career ladder, and form our image in society. The entire focus is on the external world. But after 40, according to Jung, the sailing itself begins, a true journey inward to finally understand who we really are and where on earth we are headed. Together, we will now follow this route mapped out by Jung, looking at the key stops, from the so-called Great Awakening at 40 to the attainment of true wisdom after 70. So, the first stop. It all begins somewhere around the age of 40. Jung had a reason for calling this period the Great Awakening. It's like the first major turn in the road, when the compass of life suddenly and sharply swings inward. And here's the main question that arises at this time. It would seem everything is fine. Career at its peak, family, home, the whole package. But inside, a strange sense of emptiness suddenly takes root, a feeling that something vital is missing. And what used to bring so much joy and motivation suddenly seems meaningless. A familiar feeling, isn't it? Jung called this the beginning of the process of individuation. A complex term, but the essence is simple. Imagine that all your life you've been wearing a beautiful, perfectly tailored suit, only you didn't tailor it yourself. Society did. Parents, teachers, bosses. And then, at 40, an irresistible urge appears to take that suit off and find out who I am without it. This is the main task of the entire second half of life. The signs of this awakening can be vary greatly. Yesterday's successes and achievements suddenly seem like dust. An inexplicable inner restlessness appears, a desire to change everything. A person begins to notice traits within themselves they used to carefully hide, their shadow, as Jung called it. And then, quite unexpectedly, they discover philosophy, art, or some spiritual practices. All right, so what happens next? After the storm of the 40s comes the calm of the 50s. This is no longer a time for revolution, but of a conscious, thoughtful reappraisal and the search for a new, true balance. The main motto of this age is the great simplification. It's like a deep cleaning of your own life. Everything unnecessary is thrown out to make room for what is truly valuable. So, what gets tossed overboard? Well, first of all, superficial acquaintances, pointless purchases, empty anxieties about the future, and most importantly, the opinions of others finally lose their power. A person begins to boldly turn down jobs and obligations that simply drain their energy rather than filling their life with meaning. And here, a fundamental shift occurs in the very understanding of success. If before it was measured by what you could show others, the car, the title, the house, now it is measured by what is felt inside. The eternal question, what do I have, is replaced by a much deeper one, who am I? By the age of 60, having passed through all these storms and reappraisals, a person enters a period that can be safely called the era of true freedom. This is a time marked by a deep sense of liberation and acceptance of life as it is. One's mindset changes quite radically. In youth, it seems that life is clay and you must mold it into a masterpiece at all costs, controlling everything. But in maturity comes the realization that life is more like a river, and true wisdom is not about desperately rowing against the current, but about learning to trust the flow. And here is the most important part. This freedom is internal. That exhausting need to prove something to someone completely disappears. Actions are now dictated not by the expectations of others, but solely by one's own values. This freedom manifests in literally everything. The past no longer weighs you down with the burden of regret over mistakes. The future no longer scares you with its uncertainty. Even changes in one's own body are perceived calmly, like the changing of the seasons. Joy begins to come not so much from achieving a goal, but from the process itself, the path itself, the very act of being. And finally, we approach the concluding stage of this amazing journey. It begins after 70. This is the time when all accumulated life experience, all the joys and sorrows, weave together into a single whole, into a state of wisdom and, as Jung said, integration. In this stage, even the perception of time itself changes. This is very interesting. The past transforms from an album of regrets into a priceless library of wisdom. The future ceases to be a source of anxiety and becomes simply an open horizon, and all life truly concentrates in the present moment. The ultimate goal of this long journey is not some new trophy or achievement. It is a special state, wholeness, a full and final reconciliation with oneself and with life. What does it look like? It is a deep inner peace. The entire life path is suddenly seen as a meaningful, coherent story where nothing was in vain. Solitude stops being frightening and becomes a source of richness. And death is perceived not as a tragic end, but as a natural transformation and a legacy. Legacy is no longer what a person leaves behind, but who they were able to become. And so we have returned to the beginning. Now I think Jung's words take on full clarity and depth. Life truly begins at 40, because it is from this age that the conscious, authentic journey towards oneself, towards one's wholeness, and towards integration with the very fabric of life. In closing, of course, it's worth reflecting. This path, described by Jung, is universal, yet each of us travels it in our own unique way. And it's very interesting to consider at what stage of this great inner journey is each of us right now.